Welcome to Black Businesses Matter, a podcast about why Black businesses matter and the benefits of collaborating and advocating for Black businesses to drive impact. Known as the brand maven who transforms organizations with her storytelling prowess, meet Larvetta L. Lofton, host of Black Businesses Matter.
I am Larvetta Lofton, your host and the founder of the L3 Agency.
Each episode will cover legacy, hope, Black joy, funding sources, cultural shifts, equality, and so much more. We will provide inspiration and action while spreading some joy to a thriving community of Black business owners and leading thought leaders.
Hey guys, we're back. We're back for one of our second installments of Romance and Finance from our couples entrepreneurs. As you all know, it's Black History Month. We're wrapping it up, but it was also Valentine's Day, and we thought it was important to blend Black love and Black entrepreneurship together. And our next guest, and this is a couple, guys. I think you guys were in a treat last week. You're really in a treat because I get to indulge in what they've presented today. And so that's never happened. And so I'm excited about that. But the first thing I want to say about this particular episode, I need you guys to really tune in. I need you guys to probably go online and order this. So I'm just going to tell you all, this is what you need to do today. I don't ask for a lot, but this is one time that I do think that this is something that you want to do, especially to our listeners that are in the Chicagoland area. Guys, I am excited to bring this couple to the podcast, and we had to work hard to get them. They don't say yes to a lot of people, but they said yes to us, thanks to our lovely Nameless. I do want to throw that out. She works with us, and she's friends with them, and we were able to get them to say yes. So I'm super excited to have them here, and I'm going to introduce them to you. They are the first Black-owned and operated winery in Illinois. Yeah, we have them. You may not know who they are, but I'm about to introduce you. So what we have today is Rick Nesbitt and Carin Nesbitt, and they have been both together working on Vintrendi Wines. And so I'm going to give you a little background of Rick and where he's come from. He's been working in this industry for about 25 years in the wine and spirits. And he's worked as a salesperson and in the marketing spaces at the largest adult beverage distributor in Illinois. You didn't tell me that.
Quite a few.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And his career path evolved from alcoholic beverage sales to funding and operating an independent liquor distribution company, and ultimately to winemaking. So currently, Rick serves as the CEO, the winemaker. So you are the winemaker?
I am the winemaker.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And the creative engine that drives the Vintrendi Wine Company experience. And so welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
So, Rick, I hear about you, but I got to hear about Carin. Because we talking about couples, right? Okay. And so I've got to hear, because the thing about it is that we started off this interview where it was like, no, he's the entrepreneur. No, she's got it. No, but y'all got it. You know what I mean? Definitely. At the end of the day, y'all got it. Sure. So realizing that, but before we kind of delve into the business, I want to hear about how you guys met.
Oh,
I want to hear about that.
I'm going to let you start. Go ahead.
No, I want to hear from you.
I want to hear you.
Oh, you want to hear from me?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm saying this because, so here's what happens. We all know that there's a different story, right? His story is different from your story.
No, I think the story is exactly the same.
It
is exactly the same.
That's the first, because be like, well, his story is going to be this. So we're going to start with the ladies because let me say this. You can go because our last couple, she let him go first and then he came. So you guys can do this either way. Go
ahead, tell the story. The story's the same, though.
Well, it's the same? Okay.
Okay. Well, actually, a friend introduced us years ago.
Okay.
We met. It was a blind date. And,
wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Actually, you know what? I went to her job.
Pictures first.
Oh, yeah, it was definitely.
You did know the pictures. Okay.
Yeah.
Polaroids.
Polaroids. Yeah. And we saw each other's Polaroids. So I guess that was like the first Tinder date.
Okay. So it was Tinder before there was Tinder?
Pretty much.
Yeah, you was just pulling out Polaroids. I love it.
That's kind of how it worked out. And we were introduced, and I went up to her job one day. She was at Sears. I just got off of my job, which was in the same general area. And she was mixing paint.
Sears Paint Hardware.
Yeah, Sears on Western. Actually, right down the street from here, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's
Okay.
ancient history, but it was
Yeah. Absolutely.
And we went out on our first date, and strangely enough, we always laugh about this because our first date we went to see the War of the Roses. And
Now,
that was like a bad sign. Right?
Wait, that's a bad sign.
I know.
Like,
And so I guess that's like our guiding point going forward. We don't ever want to let it get to the point that we're fighting and hanging off a chandelier. We fight.
but not that for the chandelier. No. Okay, got it.
Not anymore. Well, we don't have a chandelier anymore.
I love it, Rick. I love it.
Well, yeah,
That's the story. So it was a blind date. Oh my gosh. I love it. Yeah. And so that's why we have to understand like this idea of Tinder, Match, all these platforms, right? All we did is get to the people faster, right? Because you were still doing the same thing. We were ultimately doing the same thing, except we had, now it's a software that can bring us all together at the same time, which is kind of cool. And so from there, what did you see in him that says, okay, did you automatically know husband material, or did you say, I don't know?
I want to know that.
I would say, yeah. I mean, from the start, I knew Rick was hardworking.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, there's...
Hence today, right?
Hence today.
Wow.
There's never... It's always, I'm going to build it. I'm going to fix it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
That's always been
Wow.
Rick.
And is that a quality that you definitely think is important when you're choosing a mate?
Definitely. I'm hardworking.
Yeah.
Very much
so. You saw yourself too in
definitely.
him. Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
But yeah.
And do you think that in business, is that how we should see partnerships?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I would say that for me, and I'm probably the same for him, I can't imagine being in business with somebody else other than him. We don't always agree. But just the dedication, if something needs to get done, it's going to get done. And especially in this business, this was just what he knew.
Wow.
So to get behind it,
was it an easy road to get behind? Or was it necessarily you were just kind of, for lack of a better word, were just invested in what you were doing at that moment that you just weren't all the way in? Or was it all the way in?
No. Well, there's a couple of different reasons why. I mean, I had a W-2 for a long period.
Yeah.
Kids were younger.
Yep.
Definitely that stability.
Absolutely.
Insurance.
That part.
We weren't going to, definitely, going to walk away from that. But the last job I left, I knew that was going to hopefully be my last job. I was in the finance field for 31 years. I was at that company for 14 and a half years, and some changes took place there. And I could have looked for another job, but
it just made sense.
Yeah.
It just made sense. Kids were probably older by then.
Definitely older.
Yeah.
2 out of college at that point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was great.
And did y'all have that vision already laid out, that kind of like, okay, I'm going to focus on this, you stay there? Was that the plan?
Yeah.
Eventually, yeah. It started shaping into that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, because we'd been entrepreneurs before in a lot of different ventures.
Not first rodeo.
And I even hate the word entrepreneur, but self-employed are always having a side hustle. You
Always.
I mean, that's what you got to have, a side hustle to get to the real hustle sometimes.
There were many times we both had W-2 jobs and we're doing something on the side. And there were times when I was at home, he was W-2. It just flowed.
It flowed.
Yeah.
Just like wine. Yeah.
But when she's always been a great help to the business for the fact for what she actually brings to it.
That's what I wanted to get to. Yeah.
Her background. the finance helps a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I like to say that I'm Word and she's Excel. That's how we run the relationship.
I love it.
And she's
I love
cold
it.
with Excel.
And there's some issues I have with the Word right now that he don't even know about. He's helping me with tomorrow.
Or the design, things
Yeah.
like that. I'm more creative,
Yeah,
but yet
definitely.
business minded.
Yeah.
But it all meshes together. So, just like with my background, I've picked up pieces over the years from different companies or past jobs, and basically amassed it. At some point, it seemed like it was preordained, because I used to sell bottles. My
Okay.
first job out of school was packaging.
Okay.
So, that's part of the business that I actually carried over into production, distribution, ultimately into production. And the packaging had nothing to do specifically with wine, but the point is that was a skill that I picked up from there, or the knowledge of, types of glass and
Yeah.
finishes on bottles.
Yeah.
And same
Yeah.
with her, her background in finance and investing and things like that. She helps, keep us on track financially, because, being a creative, sometimes I can get past myself as far as, I might have these grandiose visions, but do we have the money?
Right. Right.
Or how can we get the money?
Right.
Or how can we up sales?
Right.
So she's great in operations. That was
Love
actually
it.
ultimately her last background, her role at her company.
That's
So that
awesome.
helps too on different types of operations. Our business is not just retail, it's wholesale, it's manufacturing. So there's we're vertically integrated. So there's different types of operations too, but her portion of it, I don't have to worry about. So like she said, to that end, she's a great partner. Fantastic. Yeah.
That's a blessing to have your partner, your life partner, as part of your dream partner.
Yeah.
I think it helps. And you both can get to flex your own superpowers. You both get to flex them. Like nobody really, you can flex your finance and be like, I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Right?
And she does.
Rick's like, oh, she does.
And so do
I love,
I.
and I love that, because if our last guest last week, reverse, he was the finance and she was the creative. And so just being able to balance that and still manage the business in the business that you all are in, right? Wine certainly is also entertainment, right? It's lifestyle. For me, I said therapies for some of us, right? And so knowing that you are technically, right, helping to feed that energy for people, right? Whether that's entertainment, whether that's therapy, whether that's,
I love that.
you know what I mean? Like you're feeding it. How do you all feed yourselves?
That's a good question.
We love to work.
Honestly, and and people, I enjoy my work. It's fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
even when today is technically
Yeah.
our day off,
Okay.
Monday and Tuesdays.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But yet and still, I go into the shop,
Sure.
but I'm still working. But it's fun. Like you said, I'm helping people have good times.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of people are in the industry, but I've been doing this. And I've seen the ebb and flow of the business and how alcohol, is part of celebrations, fiestas, whatever have you. It's a big common denominator in the world. And, I'm just glad to be part of that. The thing is, in this industry, I think our taste buds and ideas of what the entire package of the product is has been influenced by other folks, but I like to be able to inject my own personality into our products for our consumers based on my background, and that's fulfilling to me. So I just have fun, lots of fun.
I think that when you build a company that you built from your vision, from your blood, from your sweat, if you're not enjoying it, then you can go work for somebody else.
Pretty much.
That's the way I see it, right? If it's not the intensity of waking up and saying, what can I do today? It's not in it, then you probably shouldn't be in it. You're right. Because you got to have that level of intensity, because even when the intensity, the numbers aren't there, right?
And it happens.
You still have to show up 100%, right? And so I think from that balance and just knowing that you both love it, I think is something which is why we talked about the whole month of love, right? That you have to blend that love inside of it. But when you have love already kind of foundationally as two people that built a romantic relation, had kids, had family, and now come together, then to me, that's a foundation I think that's not easily broken.
You're right.
It's not, right? And so last week I had shared with them, like, the number one couple, $1 billion couple was Oprah and Stedman, right? Mm-hmm. They're not married. No. Right? But what we had to understand was that he had network, she had network, right? And together they were able to come together. For whatever reason, there was something that we can see Oprah is great, but I'm sure Stedman came to the table with a lot of things that she didn't have, right? Yeah. And so we also talked about, for those and we talk about Beyonce and Jay-Z, right? There's that entertainment side that I think Jay-Z has on lock. I think that when we ultimately saw Beyonce, right, she wasn't quite the entertainer, but I think because of Jay-Z, right, she became the entertainer.
You probably pulled something out of her.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with that. So I bet, I do want to ask you, Carin, are there sides of you that you didn't know you had that's creative?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
See? And it's probably because Rick's pulled
totally.
that. Yeah.
And even just like recently, it's just little things. And he's like, he'll say something like, wow, you did that. And I'm like, I know, right? I did that.
I know.
But,
yeah, she's not normally
I'm
the
not
creative type.
Yeah. But I think
seeing
you
a
can
different
feel
side
it.
of her
Yeah.
coming out.
Yeah. And what about you? Do you find yourself sometimes saying, let me look at the numbers just a little bit, that you didn't do before?
Only the
just
profit
look
loss.
at the money. Just
That's
the P&L.
Yeah, pretty much.
I know.
Yeah.
And that's fair. I mean, that's okay, because you're looking at, are we really making money or are we losing money?
Exactly.
And then how to structure creatively how we need to show up.
Pretty much. Yeah. So to that end, you know what? You're right, because I analyze my data a lot more. Where before the gut feeling, just because I so quote unquote think I know the business, that's one thing. But then seeing real numbers makes a difference, and that's something analytical like what her background is, which normally I've just been paying more attention to it to hone the business and scale it. So yeah, I guess I have picked that up a little bit more. Put that in my toolkit.
So now you have to tell me the name. Vintrendi Wines. Where did that come from? Sounds very French. I just want to
Well, it's kind of like a Latin root. The vin being
kind of
for vine, vineyards, vintage. It's all wine related. And trendy is like because trends and styles, wine profiles. Yeah, that's where it came from. So I gave it a vowel on the end as opposed to Y. Just to give it the Latin. The Latin root language, that was the suffix, whatever have you. But the thing is, honestly, between the name means something, but what it is really hard to find a name that you could trademark nowadays.
Right.
And with that being said, I had to come up with something unique, so I just built a word.
Yeah, but no, I first of all, I just like asking because I'm a brand girl. Like where you didn't just come out the sky and be like, yep, this. I mean, if you did come out the sky, it was because it was 2:00 p.m. and the sun was a certain way and the ray was this, right? There's still a why behind it. And so when I looked, I was like, man, and trendy, I was like, I wonder if they're playing out Vino, fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I was kind of like trendy, I think, just like, so in my mind, it did show up like that. It shows up like that.
And to add to that, in which people probably don't know, the vin being wine and tremming trends and styles and profiles, that's also how we organize our wines in a store. As opposed to traditionally being by region or grape or fruit or whatever have you, we organize everything by taste profile, as in trendy or trends and styles. Okay. So in our store, everything is like sweet, semi-sweet, I say store, but the winery, the wine portfolio. Yeah. They're all based on the most base sense that we have, taste. Which ultimately, that's what you're doing. You're tasting wine. Yeah. People really overthink wine, just for whatever reason. And it's because that's what's been done in the past. Yeah. We're definitely not those companies. Okay. We're Ford, and we don't even measure ourselves by traditional standards. Why would we? I'm not the traditional winemaker. Yeah. She's not the traditional winemaker.
I love it. Yeah. And what is? Could you tell our guests? Because here's what I need you to understand: we've never had a beverage company on the show, which is amazing. We've never tasted. But a reason why I think it's important is because oftentimes, right, whether you're a CEO, the business leader, the manager, what are you doing when you go out? You're drinking, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Whether that's a cocktail, glass of wine with your girlfriends, guys, whatever it is. But doesn't that create connection?
Like when we go out and like to hang out.
Correct. You're creating connection, whether that's at work, whether that's with your friends. This becomes the connection.
Oh yeah,
right?
The denominator.
Yeah, that becomes the connection. Yeah. So do you find that and I say this because clearly I've gone to a lot of wineries in my day, full disclosure. I find that wineries it's an experience. And it's not just I'm going out to eat and I'm having a glass of wine. I'm going to this winery to learn, like, okay, what did they do to get here? Like, oh, this was one of our best. This is our top selling. It's a very different, and oh, by the way, I'm going to get some chips, right? But it's really focused on this part of it versus like, and again, we go out to eat. The wine is still a complement to your food and pairing it off. I get all that, which confuses me because if I like what I like, I just like what I like. I don't really care. Do you feel the same way? Like,
that's where it should be.
Yes. Like, yes. Oh, well, you should pair with this. Well, I don't want to. I want to pair with what else. Exactly. So I never was a fan of that. Well, you should pair it with this, but I don't like clams. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's funny you bring that up because like in our meetings, ultimately, and I've heard many suppliers say it, managers, it's ultimately what the consumer likes. Yeah, you have these traditional rules and all that. That's fine. That's cool. That's the standard. But at the end of the day, you're drinking.
Absolutely.
And it's what you like is completely subjective to you.
And I think, so talking from this place of knowing, right, we're not dominated in this industry. How does that help propel your business, if any? Maybe it doesn't. To say, are you looking to be, to help others who want to start? Or is it very merely just says, hey, we saw an opportunity and we jumped on it? Or both?
I don't even know if it was an opportunity. At some point, I just started delving more into my career. Okay. And this was just a natural progression for us, from me anyway. It was my background.
In the beverage.
I worked for different companies. I just basically let go of my employers and, for numerous reasons.
Okay.
And basically cut them out of the picture. I didn't need them. Yeah. Lack of a better word, that probably doesn't sound great.
Yeah, but no.
And basically, there was an opportunity because I didn't see winemakers like myself. And there's a story behind that.
Okay. Tell me the story.
Well, we had actually, I could name a few of them, but probably the one that was the turning factor on a company trip to a distillery, an up north distillery in Illinois. We went to see this small operation started by some folks in the industry, vodka and gin and absinthe makers. I'm not going to name the company. But while there, there was an older rep that was with us, and we're looking at their facility, and it wasn't like 100 years old. It was a relatively new facility. They were probably the first distiller in Illinois. And this gentleman said that, wow, they really know how to do it as far as, producing a product and making it. He was, in awe about it. And, I thought to myself, well, you can do that. Anyone can do it. Right. You just have to do it.
Right.
Yes and no, anyone can do it. It's a challenge, especially not if you're not from the industry. But if you are from the industry, I started thinking about it. And after years of looking back and my progression, all the information I gathered, I guess you could say it was an opportunity there. And, I picked it up, but it was still some, a challenge going up and down the path to get here. Yeah. So I don't want to say it was an opportunistic thing. It was more or less something that I needed to do. You were solving a problem. Pretty much.
Yeah. And I think, again, Rick, I think, and don't get me wrong, I know where you're going because you don't want to be an opportunist, right? Opportunists come and go. But I do think, right, you're solving a problem for that particular opportunity, right? During COVID, people were selling masks and we decided after the mask, I don't sell them anymore, right? That's because they were solving that problem for that moment.
Sure.
So I think when you think of it today, like, you know, I am seeing more and more of folks, Black, brown, get into this business. And, you know, I started in that space and, you know, had a lot of liquor brands that I represented for several years, and I didn't see any color, right? We were the ones that were, you know, in the bars, in the clubs, you know, selling the merchandise, you know, selling the products.
Exactly. Pushing the brand.
Right, and pushing the brand. But when I go into the office, I didn't see us.
Exactly.
And so it was sometimes a misstep. I had one client that I absolutely love from Brown Forman. She was a Black woman, and she was outstanding in her role. And so I just find it very hard to believe that there was so much misrepresentation when you go to bar and it's all of us. So to me, it was like it was just hard. I'm like, we're going to this club. And these, you know, Black folks owned when, you know, we were in Atlanta, Miami, the clubs were owned by Black people. Yeah. And so that would blow our mind, right? And so, and brown, like, you know, there would be Hispanic owners. And so I'm just like, why not? Why aren't we on the forefront there, right? We're consuming it, right? But we're not that. And we don't have to be, you know, and so I do want to ask you, what is a winemaker? I hear that. And then you got winemakers, and then you have, what's the other term?
Negotiants or brand owners.
Brand owners.
Yeah. So I want to know what is a winemaker?
Winemaker is actually the person who blends, bottles, manufactures, ferments, concocts a different wine. Basically, we're actually making it from fermentation. Okay. You know, from
the grapes to
the juice, yes, the must. Yeah. We'll make it. We actually produce the product.
Got it.
Yeah, and being a winemaker, you could be the person who bottles it. You know, that
could be somebody different, right?
Yeah, it could. Yeah. There's different segments, and there's ways, you know, specializations in this industry that, you know, most people don't know because it's just kind of entrenched or just little niche markets. Okay. But the negotiant or the brand owner, that's like white labeling a product. You know, you have someone private label it for you. You come up with the concept. It might be the packaging. Yep. It might be the label, and then and we used to do it too. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. When we owned a distribution company, we had a brand made to our specifications. Okay. Now I mentioned that probably in my bio, but the thing is, that's fine, and you know, you're basically acting as the marketer for that particular product. Got it. In that role. Got it. And you know, you're selling that. You're marketing that product. Yeah. I did that, but the thing is, when we were
you started there.
Correct, with my distribution company.
Got it.
Now, you don't have to own a distribution company. You can just specifically act as the royalty receiver. Okay. If you're a private label customer. Okay. That's fine. Okay. But the thing is, when you go to a winemaker like we did, they'd give you so many selections of what you said you wanted. You want a certain type of product, and they'll give you an option, and you turn them down. Ultimately, you're not the person producing it. You know what I mean? Okay. I wanted more creative control in the product.
That's what I was going to say. Did that give you creative control?
Not as much. I mean, I came up with some ideas. I came up with some unique wine ideas that actually started, you know, a path. I don't know. I would like to say that started a few trends. Okay. But at the end of the day, you know, someone can make something, but you may not even own the formula. It's not like it's like not owning your masters. Yeah. So I'm like, I guess like a Jay-Z or whatever. Yeah. I'm not gonna be owned by it anymore. Yeah. We're not gonna be owned by it. We're fiercely independent people.
So that's kind of what I wanted to ask. So we've seen this, right? You've got Snoop, you've got Mary J. Blige, you've got all these entertainers, right, that have their own spirits, right? And the way I see it, and y'all tell me if I'm wrong, that's just a white label, right? We just put your name on it, they ain't going to...
Sometimes not even that. I mean, they might just serve as... I'll give you a prime example. So I'm not even going to Ciroc. I won't even do that one.
Okay. Casa Cavassier?
Well, no, I was going
Okay.
to say how Ciroc wasn't doing anything but the whole Diddy thing. I was just
Yeah,
leaving
yeah.
I'll forget that one.
Because that's a whole thing,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
For a different show, right? For a different show.
But take, for instance, Jay-Z. He, without even knowing, when he mentioned in that one song, I think it was Big Pimpin' or something,
yes.
he mentioned for Belvedere.
Yes.
Belvedere is what we call a dog on the shelf. It was not moving. I mean, it was like a
I remember
$30
that.
bottle of vodka.
Yeah.
That was insane. Vodka is the cheapest spirit to make.
It
Long
is.
story short, Jay-Z got behind it just by saying it, and I don't even know if he got paid from that, and the brand took off. It went through the roof. And I witnessed that, and I saw it over and over again over the years. So he didn't get paid from that, but then he got smart and started at least getting a portion of the brand. Now you have people actually really private labeling, like maybe Kevin Hart or something. They have their own, they are private labeling. But in the beginning, people would just take that marketing cut.
Yeah.
So that's not necessarily bring like a brand owner or a negotiant. That's acting as the marketer for that product. But you can own the brand. And whereas you own that label and the marketing behind it, you own that. But does it mean you own what's in the bottle? Maybe you own the formula. Maybe you did, if there was a formula. But at the end of the day, wines change. If it was a wine, it can change depending on crops every year. So unless it's a specialty product, like let's say this, my sweet potato pie cream, that's a formula product. So I own this. I designed it.
Okay.
I made it from scratch.
So it's called Miss Vera's sweet potato pie. Who's Miss Vera?
That was my grandma.
That was his grandma.
Yeah, she was an entrepreneur.
Look at
And I hate to use entrepreneur, but she was a business owner.
Yeah.
So it was like my homage to her.
Yes. I love sweet potato pie though. I know, don't judge me though.
No.
See, I know it's weird.
Good.
I don't like it's like I don't know. I don't like sweets, but I like sweet potato pie.
We're gonna have to
Is that
bless you
weird?
with a bottle.
Yeah.
And I say that because I don't know, but sweet potato pie to me is savory. It's not sweet.
No, I don't know. It's sweet in
y'all
our
think?
house.
Okay.
We like some sweets.
And so I say that, and so here is, tell me about Finesse Silky White.
That's actually my favorite.
So were
Yes,
you
it
part
is.
of
That's our
like,
best customer.
That's
Really, we want reports.
Well, first of all, the name Silky White Finesse. I mean,
Actually,
seriously.
our daughter came up with
Really?
the finesse. Yeah.
She came up with I like finesse. Is this obviously wine is a woman. But I do find that men do like wine too. So it's not right?
yeah.
You do find that men, yeah. And so literally and understanding, my boyfriend actually loves red wine too with me. And so I love red, and so but he's certain reds, and he's like, okay, now I don't want to do this, I want to do this. But I think that in his mind, he says, you can't overpour wine. You can overpour everything else, but you can't overpour. You can't overpour wine.
Like how much
When
you
he
actually
say-
pour in the glass.
What
properly?
he says overpour, meaning that you can overpour like scotch and be messed up.
Oh, right.
Meaning, okay, keep going. But with
In
wine,
other words,
fine.
you don't get tore up.
Tore up. Like, you're not gonna
it's
get like
sloppy.
You can get,
you can't probably
but you're
get.
pleasant. I always
It's a
say
good
pleasant.
buzz. It's
I
a
like
good, yeah.
pleasant.
It's a
That's
good
the
buzz.
Well, that's
It's a happy
so,
buzz.
So I'm having a pleasant day.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's beautiful. And I just want to tell everyone, I am actually drinking the rosé, which I love rosé. Literally, that is my favorite. And this rosé is so good that I'm scared because I just want to keep drinking it all by myself. Like, I don't even want to share. That's another thing with me, rosé. I don't want to share. Like, just give me my bottle and just
I
leave
am
it.
with mine.
People do that with our wines. They hide it from company when they come over.
They say that.
They say
Yeah.
it all the time. And save it
So
for-
I'm having a pleasant day, guys, which is why I'm able to have
Good.
wine. And that's a good thing, which is probably why I'm here. You guys are here now that you are, because I probably wasn't having some pleasant days. So I don't know that I would have been able to do this the way that I should have, right? Instead of drinking to wash the pain away. Now I'm just like, no, I'm not washing pain. I'm just having a pleasant day. And this is my treat, right?
But wine is versatile like that.
It is. So tell me this, as Black business owners, and you guys have built a family business, right? Your children work there, your sons work there. I want to know, is that important to you to showcase family as part of your business model? When the people walk in.
Well,
I didn't give it much thought.
No?
yeah, but they're so important there now.
Yeah.
It is important now. They've taken on greater roles, so we want to include them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that legacy? Is that important for you all?
For me, it is now. But originally, we weren't sure because our sons had
They had
jobs. In
totally.
fact, they were doing really well.
Yeah.
And I encouraged that they went out into the real world
Sure.
to get beat up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I've seen it done, people I worked with before, they got to get roughed up a little bit. They got roughed up a little bit and made some decisions. And, we welcomed them with open arms. And ultimately, yes, I guess I wanted that deep down, but I also didn't want to steer their life. So I wanted them to go out and make their own decisions. And I tell them all the time, I still send them job. I've
He
heard,
does.
yeah, because
I
at
believe
first, really, because I believe you could do 2 jobs.
Yeah.
You gotta have at least 2 jobs.
Well, I surely did it. I had like
Yeah.
4 rigs, so I'm
Exactly.
just saying. I had
Yeah.
4. I had some W-2s, and I had a whole lot of like, I'm paying you at the door, you get $100. You know.
Yeah.
And for years, they had jobs and they helped out.
And they helped out.
They
on the
helped
side,
out on
yeah.
the side for
And
years.
eventually, they
Moved over.
they decided it was gonna be what they want to do.
Yeah.
At least for now.
Yeah.
And I'm always trying to set them up and make sure they know, how everything is run because ultimately, I do want to pass on if they want that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I think it's really important for
Powerful.
Black-owned businesses to stay in the community instead of.
I agree.
I mean, not to say that we wouldn't.
Sure.
But I don't want to sell our company.
Okay, that's what I was
want
going
it
to
be
actually
around.
going to. I
Yeah.
wanted to say.
Some people
is
sell
the
a company
exit-
just for that. Our exit strategy. No, I don't really want to be an exit strategy. I see that all too often. No, don't get me wrong.
You don't want to be held to
I
that.
don't
You want
wanna
to
be held
change
to
your.
that.
I agree.
Things
I agree.
happen.
Sure.
But ultimately, I mean, that's my dream. I like for it to be passed down. If we're the quote unquote first licensed Black-owned winery, I think it should stick around. But things change, and the world has shown us that things change quick.
They do.
So who knows what's going to happen? I just want to give them that option.
Yeah.
And they seem to be happy for it.
Yeah.
She loves it.
They but it was important for them to get some outside experience. We
Yeah.
pushed that. We even pushed that with our daughter now. I mean, she's teaching, just to see how it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I'm a
you
firm
come-
believer of that too.
And if you decide, when they decided to come here, there were rules, there were talks, there were discussions. You're going to
Good.
treat it this way
Yeah.
because this is a choice. You don't have to be here,
Right.
but they
Okay.
are
Little
there.
Fire family.
So is dad and mom, or is dad Rick and mom Karen in the job?
they know the difference.
Okay.
I think they know the difference.
Okay.
They know how passionate we are. And, we don't expect that amount of passion, but we do expect them
Yeah.
to respect it as a job. But I do think there's passion there for them.
Yeah.
When I see time, passing, their commitment.
Yeah. And their devotion. To
Yes.
it. That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
that's it.
But I just got to say this, guys. That's who you all show up as. I just met you guys, and I feel the commitment and devotion. So when you say that about your sons, I'm like, they're really are the blueprints to who you all are. So when you said it, I'm like, you said that when you entered to this room or starting this episode, we started this episode, you brought that up, and it sounds like you are doing it, not knowing that you're doing it. And I think, and the reason why I asked that is because, there are several businesses that really lead with family operated and owned, and they roll with that for years. I had the pleasure of having Walmart as a client years ago, and that was their biggest thing. Like, family owned, they were very clear. They had no problem saying it. They've somewhat pivoted a little bit. But when they went, it was like when you come in there, when you were greeted, that was Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson is somehow connected to to the brand. And so people felt a certain kind of way about that. And so I want to say that, is it important to say, just as one of you all's, if we were to say, brand promise is family ran, family operated, would we say that?
Yeah.
That's
Now,
Now.
in the beginning, even though it was here,
Yeah.
in our hearts where we wanted it to be, I don't think we really.
Later.
It was obvious she was my wife and
Yeah.
her husband. And when the boys came, and people figured it out. But
Yeah.
at first, no, like it wasn't on our website. We recently revamped the website.
Okay.
And then we did play that up. Not
Yeah.
play it up, but we made it more. We had dedicated a whole page to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I still have to do the bios of my sons, but the point
Yeah.
is, we decided to put that in there originally. I don't always believe that the brand is the person.
You said that.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you something. I believe it becomes, because the experience that you provide, I know in my business of marketing, we moved up into the adding the E in the experience. It's the experience. And that experience comes from your family makeup. Like you're going to feel that. There's no way around it.
Well, that's what we found. A lot of our customers, they made
I think
us
the
more
rebranding
aware.
actually came from
Yeah,
some
honestly,
feedback.
Really.
That's awesome.
Because we were kind of away from that,
Yeah,
but
because it was just
the more people
vibe.
saw us and the experience we provided.
Yeah.
Um,
And I will share with you all, I did some research and I shared it with the last couple last week, that in my research of Jim Crow laws, it was illegal for you to show any affection. It was illegal in the Jim Crow laws.
for black people to
For
show
black
that.
people to show affection.
That's terrible.
I know. But I think innately, that's part of the reason why when a lot of our black businesses, when they are coupled, and I was speaking with them last week, we tend to shy away from that because it's not widely accepted. And that is ancestral because when I was studying this, I was like, why is it? And I will tell you, it was a stark difference. I was in a church. It was a Hispanic Latin church. Every couple in there touched each other and praised the word. They came. I mean, it was actually, so I can tell you, I was so uncomfortable because I was just like, okay, this is like, and it was but when I started, as I was doing research, like that's how they do in Port. That is a real thing. Much like in Ghana, it's different too, right? Sure. So when I started to study on on this side and north, like in northern states, and this, when we moved, you were sometimes separated. So you didn't want to share that that's your wife or that's your husband because you both are, trying to, well, can you get in that way? Okay, go that way. You go that way. And then they come together. So that was part of why. And if we go back to history and, go back there, I know, right? And so when I saw it, I felt like more and more, I believe, more and more couples who are in business have to showcase that. Because I think that's part of why, young people don't see that. Young people don't, see that. Yeah. Like, no, I got to do my thing. She got to do her thing. And again, that's still okay too. I'm not saying that any of it is wrong or this, but I think it's more represented. And I think when we look at, various shows, right? The Cosby Show, things like that. We saw that, but how many of those shows did we see at, we started to see, but that was like our show. And we almost held him to like the cross, like he is the one, right? And so that was hard for us to see that. So I do definitely believe that seeing this idea of collaboration, this idea of coming together, this idea of co-preneur coming together is something that I think can be modeled after.
Oh, wow.
I think it's something that can be modeled. And I think you guys are doing a great job because I would think that people come into the winery are probably designing their next big idea or having a date. And you guys are helping to manifest those things.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure of it. Yeah.
I know that it is. And so I do want to, now say when people come in. So now this is where we get to talk about where you guys are located, your website, can people purchase online? So those are some things I want you guys to be able to share for people as they're listening. You want some wine right now? Where can they go?
Okay, of course.
Right now, they're here with me in the studio.
Come have a sip with us. But of course, you can go to the winery. We're located at 339 Main Street in Park Forest, in downtown Park Forest.
Is it free parking?
It is, but it's a challenge because it fills up sometime over there.
Okay.
There is parking.
But there is parking. For city folks, that's the number one question. So
I know. I get it too. But there is parking right in the front. And then there's lots around there, but you should not have that issue. Typically.
Okay.
However, if you do, or if you don't want to come all the way to the winery, we do sell our wines in some retail stores. Some independent ones, around the Chicagoland and suburban areas.
Okay.
Certain Benny's carries our wines. Probably about 10 or 15 of them. It depends.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Right?
And we could be in more, but that's where our footprint is right
Is that
now.
intentional?
Pretty much.
I love Rick. Everything you do is intentional. He's like, I don't do that, and yep, we gonna stay here. I love it.
It's gonna be some clear-cut lines.
I love it.
Yeah, but you can be everywhere and not making a dent, or you can be in one place making a dent.
That's true.
And so that's where we are there. But we can deliver wine directly to your house if you're local to us for a small fee, or mail order, FedEx.
So do you because you guys do the wine club, right? You have a wine club too.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah, you could pick your wine up, or we could mail it to you. We typically don't. But, you could just order wine without the wine club on the website at vintrendywines.com. Wines with an S.
With an S.
Yeah, with an S.
And you can also have parties, right? I saw that on TikTok.
Yeah.
See, I did my research.
I see.
I see that you can have parties. I saw a few things. Or is it weddings there too?
We've had a wedding there. We had a wedding there, a few years ago. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Was it outside or was it inside?
No, it was inside.
Nice.
It was inside. We had a wedding there, but you can definitely rent the space out for private rentals, be it birthday parties, bachelorette parties, or you can come in and just do wine by the glass tasting. We do regular reservations up to 20.
Oh, nice. Okay, and people can. And what's your hours?
Wow, they vary. Monday and Tuesdays are like industry days. Those are big production days. So we're only open for carry out Monday and Tuesdays from 3 to 8.
Okay.
Wednesday and Thursday was it 3 to 8, and you can be seated. Friday noon to 10.
3 to 10.
Oh,
Friday 3 to 10.
I'll let you finish.
Saturday noon to 10.
That's what happens though.
And Sunday noon to 5.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're open on Sundays?
We are open, yeah. So we are open every day of the week. Yeah.
That's awesome. And can you come in for wine tasting?
Oh yeah, definitely. And Wednesday through Sunday during those hours. Last seating is always the hour before closing. But you have a grace period afterwards. Yeah. But one thing that we do and people tend to like are our live music events.
Saw that. Yes, I saw that.
I enjoy them. That's when I do drink.
You told me you definitely
check out some of the videos. You'll see how he enjoys them.
I
did see that. I did see that.
It's a good time. But,
Nice.
I enjoy that.
Okay.
It's something that, when we created the winery, at first we were just thinking, production and retail, and then we got more space, and then we started seating guests. And then that just sort of happened. Something, when we created it, we wanted a place where we wanted to hang out that just didn't exist. It's a couple-friendly place. It's not a meat market. It could be.
It could be, right?
But, 95% of our clients are women. And it's just a calm, serene, safe place for people to kick back. I mean, don't expect the club atmosphere. We might we play house regularly.
You didn't. Now, Rick.
This isn't the place. This isn't the sleep place.
Now,
Come
guys.
on now.
I mean, we from Chicago. I'm from Chicago, and you play house. Man, we should have started off with that.
I think you should make a visit.
I think I'm going. Once you say house music, I'm there.
Yeah.
So
Saturday nights, we always do a DJ.
Yeah, most Saturday nights are DJs.
We typically play tracks. Yeah.
I think
or R&B. We're heavy on R&B.
Okay.
Yeah.
And honestly, to be really honest with you all, I think, I live up the street from Bronzeville Winery. And quite frankly, it's really hard to find a place where you want to kick back right after work or on the weekends. You want to just chill and hear some good music, and you don't want the other stuff, right? It's actually very limited in an urban city like Chicago.
Yeah, I noticed.
Right?
Yeah.
It's such a disappointment. So, hey guys, but here's what I hear. You can go there on the weekends, okay? You can go there on Thursdays. And I'm enjoying my pleasant wine here. My rosé is really, really good.
Thank you.
I do want to tell you guys one more wine because I think I didn't put up here is the plum. Actually, I used to love plum wine. So I know it's good because I used to love it. But I bet this is a big seller. I bet. No?
It's all right. It's got its seasons.
Okay.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
certainly a lot of our wines. Some of them were created to be seasonal, but that one does better a certain time of year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It does all right though.
It does all right.
It is 100%
Plum.
crafted from plums.
Nice.
So yeah.
Nice.
And,
Nice. I love it. So I'm gonna just tell you all. We have a text message campaign. I'm trying to push you guys to join us, join our family. We want to keep talking about businesses. We want to keep creating this community. So our number is 312-300-1300, and you can text the word BBM, which stands for Black Businesses Matter, but text BBM to 312-300-1300, and just join us in this community. We want to share exclusive opportunities with some of the businesses that we've had that maybe they have a special offer and we want to share it with you. We really want to continue to build on this community so that people will be intentional, right? And being able to support our Black businesses. Guys, before we wrap up, we ask this question to all of our guests. Why do Black businesses matter?
Oh, wow.
And you guys have had multiple, and you certainly have an incredible business now. And so why does it matter? You guys been doing it for quite some time.
Well, we need a Black economic base, period. We need representation in every industry. We need to take our talents from corporate America and apply them towards our community. All our problems can be fixed.
I know.
But, it's not an easy walk. And, I tell people, I don't even call us entrepreneurs. We're self-employed or we're business owners.
What do you call? What's your word?
I don't know. This is just what I do. This is what I've done.
Tell people sometimes
I've taken those skills.
It's a job that we just love to do.
Basically, yeah. I mean, I don't like to make it grandiose.
It's just a job that if it doesn't go well,
you're in trouble.
You take the hit.
But we take the risk.
Yeah. But it's something that we love getting up doing every day.
Is that why it matters?
Yeah.
We value our time freedom.
Yeah.
It's not about a sale per se.
Sure.
Quality of life is important.
Sure.
And loving what we do.
Yeah.
But, those weren't always the number one driving reason. I mean, a lot of reasons. But economically, I think we need to, and it used to be this way. It used to be more Black-owned businesses and mom and pops.
Yes.
Not saying it needs to be mom and pop, but the fact of the matter is we had a stronger economic base and probably more power in the 60s or whatever prior to integration.
Yeah.
Integration was good. It's great. But we lost a lot of businesses.
We did.
Now, I've seen, when I started in the industry in 95, no, was it 98? There were some Black-owned liquor stores. Very few. Now, I think we're the only, well, not the only. There are a few now.
Yeah.
Just very few.
Very few.
But it used to be maybe a couple handfuls, but they're all gone. Yeah. The point is, that's just liquor stores. But at the end of the day, we have to take control of our finances if possible. There's nothing wrong with having a job because that's great. I enjoy getting a paycheck.
I agree.
Nice.
I totally agree with you.
But if it's your calling and you want to give it a shot, give it a shot. Worst thing you could do is fail. But I always say fail up. You can at the end of the day, and we've had quote unquote. They weren't really failures. They were learning experiences.
Because I don't believe we fail. Because some of our best experience come from failing.
Seriously,
right?
yeah.
Whether that's to pivot, to fire.
We'll pivot. Yeah. But all that adds up, and you just put in your toolkit, and ultimately it'll strengthen you.
I love it.
Yeah.
I asked this question last week. I'm going to ask you guys, what couple that you guys believe today represents who you all are? And it doesn't have to be someone famous.
We've been looking.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I don't know. I don't know.
No?
I like Jay-Z and Beyonce.
Okay.
You know, I mean, if you were to say famous people that work hard.
Okay. Hardworking.
Yeah.
And work smart.
As well. You know who I follow and I look up to a lot? Mael.
There you go.
So here's what's crazy.
Yeah.
This is how you know things are divine. Our last couple said the same thing.
For real.
They're friends with, like they named them on their Monique and Melvin.
Yeah.
And I love that we are, to me, what I love is that we're paying homage to our peers.
Yeah.
And I think that's beautiful. And again, we still love B and Jay-Z, but that's why I said it doesn't necessarily have to be someone famous, right? It's just someone that you see, that you look up to, that you respect and honor.
Just their story and taking something that they were passionate about when a lot of people doubted them.
Yeah, a lot of people.
But they ran with it.
Because
they believed in it.
Yeah, and they stayed together in it.
Yeah.
I had the pleasure of working with Monique a while ago. And who she was in that vision she had is the same vision. That was like 12 years ago. So that's spoke. Isn't it amazing? Like she said it and she is living it.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you guys say that because I think it says a lot when we can speak on you guys standing here building a business to speak on another couple. Isn't that powerful?
Yeah, because I hadn't given it much thought, but thanks for helping me look at that.
Yeah, no.
But
it's
like
just,
business mentors, people have them, but I don't know. I haven't. We don't have any.
And that's
so,
okay,
but you know, it's a challenge, because you have to do everything. We don't have to, but that's just it. I mean, I find us mentoring other folks a lot more.
Okay.
But probably because we have a lot of experience starting and closing, or restructuring, I should say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Restructuring.
I like
But the
the
point
word
is,
restructuring.
Yeah.
and that's really what is. Our distribution company was restructured into the wine maker,
the winery.
the winery. So
What,
that being said,
what brings you all joy?
What brings us joy? Seeing everyone happy.
That's beautiful.
being peaceful, just being at, just being tranquil. I like tranquility a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Just
love that.
like, I even work at night. I can't work when there's a lot of noise. Just like that brings
just peace.
I know it's sad that all I do is
No,
work.
I think, but you
I hate
find
to say
it.
that's it too.
But I think it's okay. Give yourself grace to know that when you love what you do, it's not work.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, it's not work.
Right? Because you are speaking of it, but again, and I will say this: you guys are helping to fuel people's dreams, goals, connections. You're helping them. Good. However, that's the way I see it. Because whether that's celebrating or winding down,
basically.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Whether it's wine, because I shared, wind down with me. Like somebody about 4:30, what's happening? You're winding down, right? So why not get some wine to wind down?
Right.
So, anything for you? What brings you joy? I heard you.
Just peace and happy. I mean, just people being happy.
Love it.
Just
that makes me happy.
Yeah.
And I think we have not been able to hear. So you guys give me chills that we've heard that it's okay, which is why we asked that question, Black Joy, because we haven't been given permission to have joy and happiness.
Yeah.
Right? We have to walk in struggle. We have to walk in that space.
It shouldn't be.
And it shouldn't be.
Right.
But you guys are literally, which I think is true. You're selling joy and happiness for people.
Yeah.
You are.
We have had our struggle periods too.
Sure.
But to get past that, it just feels good. I think that we're past the beginning stage.
Yeah.
So things are a little bit more manageable.
Yeah.
And that brings the tranquility. I guess that brings me joy.
Yeah. This has been outstanding. So I want you all to, from my listeners, and for those that are viewing and watching us, this was new for me. So please share with me what you thought about this show, because I didn't know that we could blend kind of like this idea of beverage into the show. Because typically, right, that's in TV shows and morning shows, right? People taste. But because we were not able to, it's hard to be able to get people to feel what we feel because you're tasting on, from the audio. But you guys have been outstanding guests for me to be able to do this. And the fact that I would just want to just mention to you all, Vintrendi, and that's Vintrendi Wines is Illinois' first Black-owned and operated winery. So I don't know about you, but pull out your phones and save this as someplace to visit, someplace to order, someplace to take your friends to, your family for graduations, and they just want to experience something in Illinois outside of Chicago that they've never been able to experience. Introduce them to this. I just want to say thank you guys for just rocking with us in this new season of Black love and finance together and bringing you all some dynamic co-preneurs. Thank you all for listening to another episode of Black Businesses Matter. See you next week.
The Black Businesses Matter podcast is produced by the L3 Agency, a culturally sensitive influencer, marketing, and communications firm in Chicago, where relationships are our currency, passion is our profit maker, and people are our bottom line. Follow us on Instagram at Black Businesses Matter.